going to call this meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Gina, can you please, I'm sorry, Deputy Clerk, can you please call the roll, or Clerk?
Trustee Mason?
Present.
Trustee Reinders? Trustee McNaughton?
Present.
Trustee Consolino?
Present.
Trustee Fialko?
Present.
Trustee Stylen? Present. Mayor Knightsky-Troicki?
Present. Any public comment? Okay, legislation and action items. Number 1, consider for approval ordinance number 23-029, an ordinance amending 8368 of the Code of the Village of Homer Glen, increasing number of Class B liquor licenses issued within the Village of Homer Glen. Castleford Entertainment and Gaming LLC, 14411 South Bell Road. Owner Joseph Parenti, doing business as Nikki's Pub.
I'd actually like to interrupt that process and ask to table this whole process under E, because on May 23rd, we called for I'm sorry?
I was just noting to Gina
Okay.
that amendments should be on here, just.
We called for this on May 24th to be tabled until the June 14th meeting. As far as the provision of this being a special meeting and being an emergency of any kind, I don't see it as being an emergency. No one explained to me why we were putting this as a special meeting. In the past, what we've done is had special meetings because there was something urgent. And I don't see that this falls in that category. I believe that we motioned to take and table this until the June 14th meeting. We don't have Carmen Morella here, the village manager, which has knowledge on this subject. Rose isn't here. I just don't think it's fair to the rest of the board.
I'm going to ask the attorney to address some of those concerns.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Good afternoon. Trustee, so 2 points of order with this. First, any matter that's tabled, even if it's tabled to a date specific, can be the subject of a special meeting if so desired by.
Can you read our special, when we have a special meeting provision in our ordinance, do you have it with you?
I don't have it with me now.
Well, I don't think it falls in that category per our village code.
Okay.
So if you want to review it and take a look at it and give me your advice at this time, that'd be great.
Well, there's a motion right now to table, and so
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
then the proper procedure now is to put that to a vote.
Okay.
Or do you want to, can we have more discussion at this time on it? Well, the reason why I ask is because if you have in there where it says we can't, then do you want to provide that?
I could look it up. I thought we'd let legislative council handle that end of it. It's really not mine. If it
No,
was
I'm-
a challenge. But right now, like he said, the motion is on the floor to table it. If you want to put it to that, to a vote for those reasons, that our village manager's not here and that Rose isn't here, we don't have a complete village board, that should be enough. Besides, besides not thinking that it falls into the category of a special meeting.
Trustee Reinders is the one that tabled it. I was the one that seconded it. And our exact words, we just wanted the rest of the paperwork to go to the next meeting. And so the next meeting would be the June 14th date.
Okay, well,
I want to know what the emergency.
Yeah, we all.
Can I interject?
At that time.
Sure.
Trustee Reiner's motion to table it, that's true.
Yes.
And I was thinking about that. She also owns a restaurant in this village, and she also has a liquor license, and that is a competitor to her, is that correct?
That is correct.
So I don't think it's necessary that she's here.
So technically by state, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Technically by state statute, she's not supposed to even attend a meeting, or she's supposed to recuse herself completely from the meeting. The state statute says that, and our village code says that as well. And I can provide that for you as well.
Excuse me, would that include you though, because you are a manager for Konos Farm?
I'm not on the liquor license, no.
You're not on the liquor
I
license
am
at
not
all?
on the liquor license.
Here, it's not competition at this point at all.
Okay.
This is for an additional liquor license. Rose, if she was allowed to table it,
So
it would only
technically-
make sense that she should be at the meeting because she tabled it.
Yeah, so
It was
techni-
allowed then, so why wouldn't it be
Why is
allowed
it
now?
a
It
special
wouldn't be
meeting now?
fair to Rose, and it's not about competition. It's about a trustee
Okay,
like
Trustee
yourself.
Fialko, I'm going to call a
Eve,
point of order right now
but I
because
have the-
we're
I
going
have the
to,
floor.
right, but you know what, here's what, without getting too far into detail, or I could, I mean, I was trying to avoid going into detail. By trustee Reinders making that motion, she technically should not have been able to make that motion. I'm trying to prevent a situation from happening and moving forward.
But that's not why this meeting was called.
No, but
In a
that's
way
the-
it was, yes. So without going further, we're just going to call the roll on this. And I'm happy to talk to you individually later.
No, I have discussion on this. that
Well,
didn't
we're
get
going to
discussed.
we're going to vote to table and then we'll
Vote
move
to
into the
table it, but then I
motion.
have discussion.
Okay.
Madam Mayor.
Well, there's no discussion on the vote table.
Why not?
Well, we just had discussion on the floor to table.
Can I,
Well, let's just call the roll for table.
No,
well, I'd like to ask a question before table.
There's a lot of concerns with this, and I'm not just going to allow for a vote when this has been going on for over 6 months with other people involved from other companies, such as Sam LaRocca and Mr. Joe Cristiano.
Okay.
There's a lot of improprieties, so this needs to be discussed, and I don't know if our other trustees know anything about this.
Trustee Reinders, by state statute and by our own village ordinance, should have never made the motion to table. Now, trustee Consolino or trustee Fialco or any of the other trustees, if they were to make this motion, we would not be in these seats right now. I'm trying to avoid a situation from happening or moving any,
I believe that
Farther.
this is extremely nefarious.
well, you are completely wrong.
No?
Well, this would not be, here, just to finish up, I think we should go to the vote, I agree with you. But I don't think that that is why you called for the special meeting for us to be here.
How can you tell me
Rose-
what I think,
because
or what I-
Rose Reiner-
Is somebody not gonna be
because
here
it
at the
would-
next meeting?
Because it would say it in here, we're calling for a special meeting. We usually put why we were calling for a special meeting. It didn't say
Well,
that.
why
It
There's
didn't
nothing
why
on there.
We were calling for a special meeting. Nowhere in here does it say that.
Okay.
So I'm assuming it's not because Rose tabled it, and I'm only assuming, you're right.
Your assumption is wrong.
But to get back to the point, we do have the matter on the floor to put to a vote,
Okay.
to table.
Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll to table?
Trustee Mason?
No.
Trustee McNaughton?
No.
Trustee Consolino?
Yes.
Trustee Fialco?
Yes?
I'm still struggling.
Trustee Stylen?
Can we look and see if, I want to know what he's saying, if you can't table or not.
What do you mean, can't table?
Well, you said in our ordinance, you're,
I'm saying as far as a special meeting, an emergency.
I'm trying to look that up right now.
We can look
I mean, I
it up
have the village ordinance right here, so, or the code.
Yeah,
for a special meeting.
Well, I'm trying to find it in the code.
under emergency meeting. I'm looking online right
I
now.
believe we have it written down.
It's not an emergency
This is
meeting.
not
It's
an
a
emergency
special meeting.
A special meeting would fall.
Special meeting falls under emergency
Under the
mode,
category of
under our
emergency.
codes.
Okay, well,
I mean, I'd like clarification for that.
can you look up the clarification? I have a question. What is the question at hand? Is it that we can't call, is it your, trustee Fialco, is your question
No, it's
that we
Sue's
can't?
question.
Or
at
Sue,
this
is your
point.
question,
So.
What's your clarification that you need?
He was saying that you couldn't table or make a special meeting from a tabled item?
so, and I asked the same question actually a few times. So when you table something and you table it to a specific date, which we did, and actually I added in the date the last time, it was trustee Reinder's motion,
Okay.
and we did table it to a special date. But from what I understand after talking to Attorney O'Grady,
I'm trying.
we can call a special meeting prior to that.
I was able to get it.
From what I understand.
At home.
Okay? But if you want verification, he can
Yeah,
try to find it.
just if there's anything saying that you can't.
But my question again fell into, was it legal for trustee Reinders to even make that motion? It's already done. I understand that, but what follows after an illegal motion, I don't want something to happen to, I was trying to avoid something, but if you guys want to,
Yeah, well,
you guys want to
I
proceed.
agree.
Hey, I can't say I didn't try.
Well, I would like the lawyers parliamentary advice on that.
I believe that it's appropriate to proceed with a matter that was tabled at a special meeting, if so called by this board.
There's the key word, qualified
Because we weren't given the correct advice at the last meeting by your firm, so this is why I'm asking again.
Correct advice on what?
I don't think the attorney was asked at the meeting
Well, you're
about
saying
that.
by him allowing the road.
He didn't know she had a liquor license.
Yeah, I don't think he knew that.
It wasn't until someone reached out and notified that the motion was
And trustee,
Inappropriate.
Trustee, I believe you want to look at section 5-2 of your village code, specifically A, which sets what your regular scheduled meeting is. Subsection C states, in the case of an emergency, a meeting may be called upon such notice as is practicable. The meeting may be called by the village president or any 3 members of the village board of trustees. The convening authority shall notify all board members, village clerk, and members of the media who are entitled to such notice. The term emergency is not defined, nor is there anything that I'm seeing in this specific code section. Ma'am, if you may allow me to finish, there's nothing in this code section relative to a special meeting being disallowed in any fashion.
Well, what does it say, what constitutes as an emergency meeting?
Yeah, where's the emergency?
It's not defined within your code, as I'm seeing here.
Common sense tells us what an emergency is. I don't believe that.
Why
it's
is it
the
imperative?
title of an emergency.
I deemed it as not an emergency.
You deemed it as,
I asked to have it move forward to prevent a situation from escalating.
well, then I'm
Madam
requesting that we have
Trustee,
discussion
does that-
after this.
Madam
Trustee
Chair,
Steinle.
Okay, I'll say no to tabling.
Okay, motion carries. So our motion fails to table. So now the motion is back under the original motion E1 that I had read. Is there a motion to proceed?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay. Discussion again.
Usually you have the people that made the motion and the second.
Okay, Trustee Mason? Mr. Parenti, would you mind stepping up to the podium, please? Thank you. I'm assuming they have questions.
And we do. I'm looking at the menu, and it looks very sparse. You plan on adding to this menu at all?
Well, we are as it opens, once we determine which of the items on the menu, sell more than others, we will. But as of now, I mean, we're gonna have more variations of sandwiches and obviously pizza options. But that's the current menu as it stands, as it is.
Okay, the reason I ask is because I'm pro-business. I want business in Homer Glen, but I want the best possible, and I'm not disputing your menu, but it looks a little sparse to me. And I know it's 1,500 square feet, is that correct?
Give or take, I think it's a little bit more than that.
Is it a little more than that?
Just
Okay, so 1,590, okay. And how much of that is kitchen?
I don't know.
Joe might know that.
I would have to refer back to the building plans on how much of that, but
Okay.
there's a kitchen area.
So would you say it's and I'm sure you've seen the designs yourself, because,
I have in the last month or two, but
but you could say it's 10 by 10 or 10 by 20 or
much bigger than that.
much bigger than that? Okay. Because I get square footage too. Okay, and then you're going to have, because I mean, I look at this, and when I see the menu, I see like a lot of food that could be quickly prepared. And I'm just making sure that, you know, what you say, it's Nikki's Pub, and I want to make sure that, you know, there are restaurants and there are places for us to go, but at the same time, is this now a sit-down area, I mean, as well?
We do, I think there may be 10 to 15 seats, maybe more, 20. It's not a full-blown, large-scale restaurant. It's obviously a smaller restaurant within the footprint and a bar within the footprint.
Okay.
There's only so much square footage you can utilize in 1,500 square feet.
Right, I understand that. So, okay, so I think you just answered my next question, so there's a bar area as well. And,
And tabletops.
right. And I don't see anything for gaming or anything like that on here. It was your intentions at some point to bring in gaming, or?
We may, and if we did, we'll bring that to the board's attention.
Okay, because right now, there's no application for that whatsoever.
There is not at this time.
Trustee are you done, Trustee?
Yeah, I'm done.
Trustee McNaughton?
Yeah, thank you for your time and for coming down. I see the LLC's name is Castleford Entertainment and Gaming?
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay. And what other experience or locations do you have where you have a restaurant with gaming machines?
We have 2 and 2 others, so total 4.
Okay, okay. And in terms of, the possibility of gaming machines, when would you like to move ahead with that? What would your intentions look like, possibly in the future?
I mean, depending on how this takes off, and as soon as practical, is how we
Okay,
do the time frame.
sure.
That's a 6 to a 9 month, 12-month process. Maybe don't know.
Yeah.
By the time we decide to move forward, that would be probably 9 months to 12 months.
And I think that the maximum number of gaming machines for a business like this in Will County would be 5. Is that correct?
I believe it's 5 or 6.
5 or 6, okay. All right, no further questions. Thank you.
Trustee Fialko?
Did you want to go first?
I'm asking you, Trustee Fialko. I'm asking Trustee
Oh,
Fialko.
Yeah, that's fine. Your lease, do you have a copy of your lease that shows that you're over the 1,500 square feet?
I believe it's in my packet.
I looked through the packet, I didn't see a lease agreement.
We submitted everything last time.
Joe, have you got a copy of the lease agreement?
The clerk,
I actually emailed all the trustees the lease. I did not put the lease in the packet, but I did email it to you with the packet.
Does it have the 15, does it say the?
That I don't know.
Because I did not see that.
I'll look right now.
But in addition to that, one thing at a time, I guess. Did we do a parking study over there, Joe?
We did.
To make sure that we meet the requirements? Because right now, Blueberry Hill just asked for a liquor license themselves, right? And so, and they're planning on, they also said they're planning on getting gaming, which you just said yourself. So, with that said, there's going to be that competition within that same mall. Have you take that into consideration for yourself?
Well, I haven't until you just told me, but I think we're mixing apples and oranges. Number one,
No, we're not, because I'm looking down the road, you're just looking for now.
if I have time to finish my answer, I'll answer them as they come. But first of all, you have a daytime, morning. I think most of their business is done by 2 o'clock.
True.
We've done a parking study, and it's dead from the time that our business would probably be more in swing. So I don't see an overabundance within that
Okay.
mall.
All right, so you're saying you're going to be at the latter half of the day, you think they'll be during the beginning of the day, if that were to happen for them? Okay.
Well, the license is from X amount of time, it's when you utilize that license.
I understand.
Theirs is, I think it ends in terms of traffic flow, so I've been there multiple times. It's, the parking lot's dead by 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock the latest.
Okay. The other thing is, Attorney, if I could have you look at number 16 in the packet. Can you read that to me and give me your legal opinion of what that means?
May I see what you're referring to, sir?
Number 16.
Trustee Fialko, if you don't mind, while you're asking him a question, do you mind if I ask him a question?
Absolutely, sure.
Are your pizzas
It's in the packet.
made on site, or they're not, are they frozen, or are they made on site?
Those on site, I believe the sauce, the only thing that would be absent condiments.
Okay, that was just one, I just wanted to ask that. And then I had another question.
They are made on
Number
site?
16.
They're on site, yeah.
Okay,
And then the other question I had is, this is more directed to Joe. If they did the parking lot study, if the business that's in there, it's Blueberry Hill, ends at 2, and theirs kind of picks up in the afternoon, what if Blueberry Hill extends their hours? Would there still be enough parking?
I believe based on the number of spots that were on that property, that it still would have been allowable to have both those
Okay, yeah, if you could,
functioning at the same time.
Okay, I was just, because I know that they came in for a liquor license, and I don't know what their future plans are, but just in case, just so they're not hindered
That
on.
being said, then the hours of operation would affect the parking flow.
Okay, what was that?
I'm hearing all this other, I'm trying to hear him, and I hear all this other talking.
It was my fault. I interrupted trustee Falco on that, so I can,
It just seems rude.
and then,
Were you able to give us an answer on 16 then, what that exactly means?
If you're, I'm sorry, trustee, so you're asking me to read number 16, which states, state whether or not applicant has made a similar application for an alcoholic license in any other city, village, incorporated town, or county in the state of Illinois, and the disposition of the application. And it appears that the applicant wrote no.
Correct. Disposition of the application means what?
Having not drafted this, I don't know, but my assumption would be whether or not it was granted.
Okay. Number 16 in the application, sir, you put no. But on your LLC that you've got, in one of them, I think is in Will County, 19858 South Harlem Avenue. That's in Will County, 65th Street, 5235 West 65th Street. You already have 14411 South Bell Road already listed, and then you also have 35th Street. So in that process, none of those required applications similar for an alcoholic license?
I don't have it in front of me, but I think the understanding is that it was not granted.
What was it?
All our licenses were granted, and the Harlem location we are not moving forward with.
Okay, so the question though
Sure.
is, did you state whether or not the applicant has made similar application for an alcoholic license in any other city, village, incorporated town, or county in the state of Illinois?
Yeah.
But you put no.
My understanding is if it was denied, but we have, obviously, because I hold other licenses.
Right, that's why I was wondering why it said no.
so it's so what you're saying is you misunderstood the question, because technically if you have a license within the county or whatever jurisdictions are saying, the answer should have been yes.
Correct.
So you wrote no instead.
Yes, if it goes to whether or not we've applied for and received. We have licenses, we have applied, we have never been denied.
My last question I would like to know is your percentage of your percentage in the business as a partner, as an owner, because also in here it says you're going to be here all the time. I owned the business. I know I couldn't be there all the time, and we didn't have a liquor license or a gaming license, but yet in here you said that you're going to be there all the time. Is that factual?
Well, I'm going to be there as my time requires at the location, and I'm a 100% owner.
Right. It says, will applicant, which is you, be on duty at all times under the section of manager number 27? It says yes.
Well, I'm not going to be there from the minute it opens to the minute it ends.
But you said yes.
Okay, then that's an incorrect statement. I will not be there the entire, every minute of every day that it's opened.
Okay, some clarification on this, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Trustee, or Deputy Clerk Gina and I had asked this question to you before when we had met you in the office, because somebody on the liquor license needs to be on the premise at all times from open to close. And I'm sorry, but I can't remember what you said. I believe you said you were, because you're not ready to open yet, correct?
That's correct.
So you were going to be in the process of finding somebody, from what I understood.
Correct.
That would take your place, and Gina, correct me if I'm wrong, that you said you would find somebody to take your place if you were not to be
In
there.
my absence. Well, there's going to be more than one direct person there, but again, I would have someone else licensed or required, but again, I would not be there every minute of the day. I don't think any business owner here does as well.
I understand that completely. It's just that it said yes, so I thought I'd ask, because I know I couldn't do it.
And neither can I.
Okay, my last question I'd like to ask, though, is Trustee McNaughton had said something about, a gaming license, and you're pursuing that in the near future. You said as soon as possible, and you would bring it to the board. The fact of the matter is, once you have a license for liquor, Gina, if you could help me out, that doesn't come to the board.
Correct.
So could you explain that process once somebody obtains a liquor license?
So once somebody obtains a liquor license, at that point, once the liquor license is received, if they are interested in a gaming license, they would fill out the application for it, and they would still have to meet the requirements with the building department to make sure that they have the room for it, and they would have to come in and show where the games will be placed and that information.
But not the approval of the board, though.
Correct, no, it does not need approval of the board.
You guys need to understand.
No, it's good, thank you.
And so, anyway, go ahead.
So
Trustee
what it says
Consolino?
in the lease is that you have approximately 1,500 square feet. Then it talks about what the restaurant or bar may serve and is not limited to, but I'm not seeing anything in this lease whatsoever about how large the kitchen area is.
Is there a requirement for how large the kitchen area is?
Yes, there was. There is.
I don't ever recall how large I thought, because I had this conversation earlier because, and I'll touch base later, but I don't think it's the kitchen size. I think it's, and I could be wrong, but I think it's total square footage of their area.
I believe it,
Gina, can you clarify that?
I thought it was total square footage of the area.
Joe,
it's
can
the
you?
square footage of the area. There's nothing specific as far as the kitchen. It's the type of kitchen equipment that is going to be used for the preparation of food.
Okay. Does that clarify that for you, Trustee Consolino? Wait, can I let Sue go? Because unless
absolutely.
Jennifer, are you done?
Absolutely.
We can come back. We can come back, yeah.
Thank you, Trustee Allen.
I don't know.
Unless you're still thinking. I know Trustee McNaughton had another question. Do you have another question, Trustee McNaughton?
Yeah, and thanks again for clarifying our questions. How many local jobs, how many employees do you forecast to have at the restaurant?
Between part and full-time, between 3 and 5,
Okay, thank you.
maybe more, depending on the number of hours we actually remain open.
Sure. What sort of hours do you predict that you would like to have?
Well, I'm not sure what the hours here would be, but it'd probably be, well, it depends. If there's a gaming license, I think
Right.
that goes from 8 till 2 or 3 in the morning, but obviously, that may not be.
2
we're gonna be
a.m.
open
is the
till 2
latest.
a.m.
On Saturdays, on Fridays and Saturdays is the latest.
And the other hours would probably be,
And I believe it's 10 a.m., is that
is
right?
it 10?
I think it's 10 a.m. to, I think the earliest is 10 a.m. Correct, Gina? Yeah.
Maybe in Will County, but I know in Cook County, it's 8 a.m.
Yeah.
So it changes based on that, but if there are no, probably be lunchtime and later.
Okay. And it doesn't sound like this would come back to the board for gaming approval, so I have another couple of questions.
Sure, because some towns, you have to go back
Sure,
for a local.
okay.
So that's why I
No, I
thought this might
appreciate
be
that,
one.
thank you. And your other businesses where you have gaming machines, how do you promote responsible gaming?
It's probably one of the
Security
most-
measures, security cameras, those types of things?
It's, I mean, by statute and by requirements of the IGB, the Illinois Gaming Board, very stringent. All the areas are cameraed in, out, around the machines, no one under the age of 21, no employees playing. Very stringent rules, and if you violate them, they pull your license.
Got it.
It's pretty stringent.
Thank you.
I'm going to take the floor for a second. So, Mr. Parenti, first of all, again, thank you for being here. Personally, I would like to see, more upscale restaurants in Homer Glen. I think your style that you're bringing forward, the village was more trying to gear away from, because it's what it seems to be. I'm just going to call it out there. It seems to be more focused on gaming instead of providing a restaurant establishment to our community.
Okay.
That's why the questions, from what I hear, and I could be wrong, about the food menu choices and the size and the hours and whatnot. You are, in my eyes, and according to Mr. Baber and Deputy Clerk Gina, you are well within the rights and what our ordinance allows. If this board doesn't like, and I'm not saying they do or they don't, but if we don't like what our own ordinance says, then that's something we need to work on. So I don't want this to reflect on you and your business personally. It's something that we have to work on if we want to make things more strict. Okay?
Okay.
All right, so I just
No
wanted-
offense taking it.
I just wanted to put that out there. I mean, I'll stop in, I stop in everywhere, but I'm just saying, I think the vision for Homer Glen, and again, I could be wrong, but my vision is to have more of more white tablecloth sort of restaurants, but that's just my personal opinion. Trustee Fialko?
If you've been here before, this board supports businesses 1,000%. We want nothing but the best for Homer Glen. We want we want you to invest in Homer Glen, right? But at the same time, you did say the goal is to get the gaming license, right? And that's where I have a little bit of concern, because we've had people come up here to the podium and speak against the board for letting a gas station in the southwest quadrant of Homer Glen, because it's going to create competition against the others who already have gaming in the community. So would you want to open up your restaurant without and commit to not doing gaming though, or is the end goal? It sounds like your end goal is gaming, and especially with the size of your menu, which was a good observation by the other trustees, and I saw that also. But I struggle with this one because I want to see businesses like yourself invest in Homer Glen, but I also don't want to create this overabundance of gambling within our community that's going to take away from other businesses in a way. And being that it doesn't have to come to the board, you know, if this came to the board afterwards, I could see us discussing it later on kind of thing, but it doesn't come back to the board. So being that you've kind of said what you said at the podium, I have to take that into consideration as part of the process. So it's not that for me, I support businesses. I had a restaurant business in Homer Glen. I support those businesses and your investment 100%. Like the President Trikey said, you know, a more upscale restaurant would even be better, you know, white tablecloth and that. But when that's where I struggle. So.
And I appreciate that.
I think that Trustee Fialko's sentiments is pretty much across the board. And again, I'll bring that back to, he's well within his ordinance, he's well within the rights of what we allow to be had in Homer, and that's where I struggle as well. So I have no reason to say no, not that I'm voting, but I have no reason to say no, but that's just the only observation I have. I want him to succeed, I want you to do great. I just, I'm sorry.
Yes, I have a question, Madam Mayor. If he gets a liquor license today and it takes, if it takes 9 months to get a gaming license?
Not in the Village of Homer Glen anymore. But when I believe it was when the gas station came in, that waiting period was eliminated, correct?
It wasn't eliminated.
I believe it was. The waiting period was not, he no longer has to wait a waiting period.
So there's nothing that we could do to stop him from getting a gaming license if we approve this?
No.
My issues, Mr. Perrone. When did you start coming to the village regarding this situation?
I'm not sure the question. When did I come?
When did you start coming to the Village of Homer Glen and to our staff in regards to your permits and requests?
I mean, I don't recall. I know it was maybe 3 to 5 months ago, maybe. We're in
Okay,
June.
because I have, the documentation going back to January.
January 5.
But it wasn't you that came to us. At first you had Sam LaRocco, and then you had Mr. Joe Cristiano. Sam LaRocco, and these are my issues with this, because these were the people who repeatedly kept coming to the village. They weren't, they didn't have the lease, they didn't have the articles of corporation, they were trying to push for the liquor license without any of the proper paperwork or filling it out properly. I have 16 emails alone from Mr. Cristiano. Mr. Cristiano is an owner of the Phoenix.
Okay.
And Mr. LaRocco has a 10-year non-complete clause with Sam's Gaming.
Okay.
So he can't open any gaming facilities. Now, my question to you is, why would you have these two individuals do everything for you the past 6 months?
I'm going to interrupt right there. It doesn't matter. He can have whoever he wants come until,
These are my questions. If that he can have whoever he wants,
I can answer them
then I
too,
wanna know
and I'm
why.
just saying he
I'd
can
like
have
him to
whoever he
answer.
wants.
Yeah.
I would like him to answer.
We followed all applicable standards here. Those two individuals have absolutely no ownership interest in this company. None of my companies,
They're
actually.
not stakeholders whatsoever?
Absolutely not. 0%. And if you have anything else, please bring it to my attention, which you can't because it doesn't exist. They absolutely own 0% interest in any of my establishments, these businesses or any other of my businesses.
Well, then I'm just going to go on the record for our fellow trustees, because this, when we discuss integrity, the one individual is somebody who gave you guys your in-kind donations for...
Point of order, it has nothing to do with what's on the table. Can we please stick to the facts and the motions? It doesn't matter who gave our
It matters
campaign
to
money.
me.
It does not.
It matters to me.
It does not matter to this situation here. Please stick to the facts of what Mr. Parenti is here for.
Well, this is the gentleman that's been, since the election, hammering very hard between electrical contracts, offering to do general contracting even though he didn't have a certificate.
I'm unaware of what you're...
I'm sure you're not. He's also the one who came up with the menu, sent over the menu to us.
Who are you referencing?
Mr. Cristiano, who owns the Phoenix.
Joe.
Is that illegal?
No, it is not.
I'm just
Okay, if it
asking
is,
why,
please let me
because
know what that is.
I'm just asking why. Why did these other gentlemen do
Well, he's
everything?
an expert in the field. I mean, there's some interplay with what the menu out here is, what the wants and tastes are out here, but unless you can show me something specifically that prohibits me from doing that, or disallows me, I'd be more than happy to
Just
look
looks
at it.
nefarious, that's all.
So you asked, I answered, you keep
No,
asking.
You don't have to answer that. I'm
There's
sorry.
nothing to
Trustee
hide.
Mason.
Madam Mayor, and thank you again for being here. We appreciate you coming. And again, I think Dan,
Trustee Fialco.
I'm sorry, Trustee Fialco had a great question, and which was, what are your ultimate intentions moving forward? Is it to expand the restaurant, and would you get the restaurant still if you didn't have the gaming, or is the gaming the end goal?
We would still open the bar or restaurant, but obviously we'd keep all our options on the table. One would be gaming. I'm not sure if I could expand. I think I took both spots, so we'd have to probably move to a different retail mall. But I also don't think that footprint, when you take the bar into consideration in the kitchen, I don't think you have a white tabletop restaurant. So I think we would try to change what the essence of that particular location would be, which may be something we do in the future here in Homer Glen.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I do have another thing that I want to bring up to the board. So this is something that you're going to have to consider in changing ordinances, because in our own ordinance, Mr. Parenti, are you a resident
Of Will County?
of Homer Glen?
I am not.
I have the right to, what she's getting at is that our ordinance states that you must be a resident of Homer Glen to maintain a liquor license in the village of Homer Glen. There are many establishments within Homer Glen that the owners do not live in Homer Glen, which I have the right to override as well. Just letting you know.
All I can do is answer your questions openly and honestly.
We've never made it apply to anybody else.
I have a question for the attorney, and because this is a series LLC, do we have to worry about anything with the partnerships or whoever his stakeholders may be? Because, you know, according again to our ordinances and with the state, it said when a corporation or limited liability company, any member, you know, blah, 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 stockholders owning aggregate more of 5% of the stock. How much of the stock do you own?
I said all of it.
All of it?
Right.
Because on one of the documents it said
I think my wife may have
I understand.
1%.
Okay, so that's written on here, it says, but it's your name, it says 1%.
Well,
So that's what
a
I'm
series
trying
LLC, just so I may educate the board, is it's not for
Umbrella.
purposes, it's an umbrella, and you're probably aware if you have your own business here. It's just an individual way of adding different establishments under one umbrella so that any liability that flows through one doesn't flow through all of them. It has nothing to do with disguising or hiding ownership interest. I can do that in a regular LLC. I can do it in an S corporation. I mean, that's not why we do that.
No, I'm just making sure in case we need to have anybody else fingerprinted and checked, because that is how the ordinance reads.
Okay?
Yeah.
Trustee Fialco.
You know, being that it has been brought up, I believe it's been said by the other trustees as far as following the ordinances that we have, being that you are supposed to be a resident, that kind of adds one more thing to that list. But you said that you have the right to waive that. Now, has it been waived already previous to this meeting, though?
To be honest with you, that has never, ever been brought up by any, and no, I have never said one way or the other, because in fact, being a clerk for 4 years, it's never been relevant, so I never expected it to be irrelevant. And I don't know why we would specifically make it to him, but,
Well,
you know,
it is,
it's a first for everything.
It is the ordinance, right? I mean,
So are we going to go and revoke all the other licenses?
no, this is the first one I've had in front of me.
Well,
I
mean, we're-
haven't had one in front of me.
We're creating an extra liquor license. We are being specific. We already have our fill. We are creating.
We have no
another
limit.
one.
No, that's why it says increase it by one.
But we don't have a limit. We can increase it to 45 if we wanted it
But we are
to.
increasing, sorry, Dan.
Hey, listen, I'm just answering, I'm putting the record straight. When you guys have a question or statement that's not true, I'm going to clarify it.
Okay, if we were to increase liquor licenses, we increase them one at a time by one, just as we did today.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's unlimited. It depends on whether the board says there's going to be another one or not. So we established that already tonight. I understand it. But then now rolling back and looking at this and being what you had just said, that you are supposed to be a resident, I really think that maybe we can get it straightened out by the 14th. That's why, you know, I thought a lot of stuff was going on just looking
never
at
had a
this today.
special meeting on this.
And you know what, I would still say that we're at a point that that's the ordinance, and like you had said other places, but that doesn't make it right.
I agree.
So.
It also,
with
there's
that
many things in that ordinance that need to be changed.
Right, I know, but.
Look, you guys can vote whatever which way you want. All I'm saying is that,
Well, I don't know.
This seems-
If I know that it's in the ordinance and we're voting on it, though, we're not voting to change it, we're voting to approve something. So if I know that now by reading, I don't know, is that?
that's been the
It puts me in a
ordinance
bad
since
spot. It puts me in a bad spot.
01, I think it's been in our ordinance since 01.
Right, but like I said, this is the first time
Yeah.
that I'm having something like this brought before me. So-
Village president, yeah.
Wait, I'm sorry, you said you don't live in Homer Glen, right?
No.
I do not.
Okay. Sorry.
You know, you're the one that met with former Mayor Yukich along with these other people that I brought up tonight. Was that the normal?
Was
prior
what
to
the normal?
this, when somebody would request a liquor license?
Was what's your question?
Having other people come on your
It
behalf.
has happened in the past.
It has happened, but is that the normal?
A relevant question. What's normal? I mean, yes, we've had people in the past have other people come here and file paperwork. We have businesses do it all the time. I can name
But these people
3 or
don't just
4
file
off the top of
paperwork
my
for them, they
head.
did
I've
everything
had
for
people come in and fill out business licenses for other people. It happens.
Yeah. I'm just explaining on this board, I know how everybody plans on voting.
No,
There's
you
no
don't,
doubt in
Jen.
my mind.
Trustee Councilor,
I'm
I
just
would
gonna
ask
say
that you please
the
stop
optics-
making accusations and please.
The optics are
All right.
terrible on this.
Call the roll.
Across the board.
Call the roll.
I still have stuff I want to say something.
If this conversation continues in the road that the path that it's heading, I will say call the roll again.
Short.
Trustee Fialko.
Thing is, I am willing to work with this board to change that section in the ordinance where you have to be a resident of Homeland.
That was
I am willing to
something,
work with you guys and we can change the ordinance and then we can revisit it. But at this point, I would hope that's kind of an olive branch.
Deputy Clerk and I had discussed it today and the other day about bringing it up in the July meeting.
I'm sure the other roads can't show it, I guess, but
Sorry?
I would be willing to work on that with you guys to make that happen so we're not doing something incorrect.
Mr. Baber, can you please make sure that door is not locked? Or Mr. Parenti?
Not from this side.
Okay, sorry. It looked like someone tried to get in and I didn't want to make them feel locked out. Okay. Trustee Steinle, did you have anything you wanted to add? I asked you and then,
I just want to say I have some concerns. There was things that were filled out incorrectly on the application, and he's not a resident, and the menu is lacking. I'm really struggling with this. I'm not a fan of gaming. I think we could use, it doesn't have to be a white tablecloth restaurant. We don't have that many lunch choices for people to go to in the village. So I'm not opposed to that, but I'm really struggling with the appearance and having a regular restaurant.
Anybody else?
Thank you for being so patient with us
Yes.
all. You too, sir.
Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Trustee Fialko?
No.
Trustee McNaughton?
Unfortunately, no.
Trustee Mason?
I'm sorry, but I agree, no.
Trustee Stylen?
No.
Trustee Consolino?
No.
Motion fails.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So we don't have to go into number 2 then, obviously.
No, you would call number 2.
Still call number 2? Okay. E2, consider for approval ordinance number 23-030, an ordinance assigning an available Class B liquor license restaurant and bar to Castleford Entertainment and Gaming LLC, 14411 South Bell Road, owner Joseph Parenti, doing business as Nikki's Pub, located at 14411 South Bell Road, Homer Glen. Now, if nobody motions, it fails, correct? Or it just doesn't happen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or they can make a motion.
Or they can make a motion to deny it. Okay.
Is there a motion? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, sorry, is there a motion? Thank you. Okay, hearing none, motion fails. Motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.